Yo, what's up guys? So today we're covering all the merge tactics meta builds right now, at least from what I've seen as a top 1k player and what I've used to get up there. We're a decent way into the season now, and it's been the first season in which merge tactics has been implemented, so people have found some exploits and some builds, and I'm here to go over that today for you guys to use to your benefit so you can climb as well. So the first thing I want to go over is probably the most renowned build, and that would be Clan. So this right here is probably the most played. You'll find this in every game, especially in higher elo. I would advise playing against it just because it's so contested. Unless you get a really good start, I would advise playing against it. It basically centers around the unbalanced and needs to be reworked Archer Queen. What happens here with Clan buff is that units gain HP and hit speed once they lose a certain amount of health, which is pretty good. When you have Clan 4 like this build, they gain 60 HP and hit speed, which ends up amping this Archer Queen up a lot. Another thing that adds to it is Avenger, which is 30 plus damage, and the last one alive gets 2 times damage. So basically this queen becomes an absolute beast, especially when it's the last alive. Your main tank is going to be this Valkyrie and this Mega Knight. This barb probably won't get too much value, same thing with the Archer. I mean, at most you guys will probably 3-star it, 2-star it. It's a really contested build, so don't expect it. I think it's something too important to note is that this bandit, you want it to get into the back line. You want to get this bandit 2-starred and into the back line ASAP. And to do that, you're going to want to place it on one of the outer grid squares here, because most of the time when people bunch up their front lines like this, let's say this Mega Knight and this Valk, this bandit, if it was on the other team, on this side could hop onto this square right here, and its next dash would be onto the back line. But this bandit will dash to the furthest enemy within 3 hexes. So if a bandit manages to get on the side of your front line like this, it'll dash straight to the back, which is what a lot of these clan players tend to like to do. It fully counters rangers. It stomps rangers, which is going to be the next thing I talk about. But even when this build is contested, you could still play it and it could still be really good. I think the condition though is that if you get an Archer Queen 2, an Archer Queen 1 will become weaker in the later game. I think Archer Queen 2 will guarantee you a second almost, and I think an Archer Queen 3 almost guarantees you a first, to be honest. This thing shoots at 6 targets when it's 3 stars. I've seen a lot of people with a 3-star queen put it behind their backline so that it targets the entire board, the 3 frontliners, 3 backliners, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this comp is easy to play because there's a lot of outs. You could get a 3-star Mega Knight, 3-star Valk, you could get a 3-star Bandit, and any one of those will probably push you into the points. So in later elo, it's really hard to get because it's so contested. It's up to you if you want to play it. I personally wouldn't, because I wouldn't like not hitting my units. It kind of sucks when that. Okay, so as I said, the next thing we're going over is going to be Ranger, which is personally my favorite comp, so I can speak a lot about this. It's pretty easy to get these Rangers early on in the game. I would play them early game. They're honestly unstoppable early game if you could get them, especially with like a Knight tank or something on round 4 when you have 4 units on the board. I will say the hardest part of this comp is going up against either Assassin or against a Bandit that's 3-starred or 2-starred, because that Bandit again is jumping to the back line after 2 dashes, and if you don't kill it, it's gonna stun this back line. They're not gonna be able to amp up too much. I do feel like this Valk is also very hard to hit. This is gonna be the positioning actually. You want this Valk in the center, and you want this Goblin Machine away from damage. So if there's like a P.E.K.K.A on the edge, you want to make sure it's on the opposite edge. Make sure this Knight is tanking most of the damage in the Valk. Back to what I was saying though, this Valk is heavily contested. I would be happy with the 2-star Valk at this point. Valk is probably one of the last units that you would put in this comp, compared to Clan, where you would want it pretty soon, and a lot of people would have it pretty soon. So I think that's the weakness of this comp. I think that the strength would be the Goblin Machine, especially when uncontested. A 3-star Goblin Machine will buy so much time for your Rangers. This thing could win you at least a 2nd place at the very least. I would prioritize in this build, after many games of playing it, starting up your front line instead. You know, all you want to do is make time for these backline units to become lasers, you know? And yeah, overall, it's really fun to play. When you're going against assassins, it's really difficult. I tend to find that a setup like this would work. A setup like this would work pretty well as long as you have 3 stars in the back line. So this would be my build for, you know, going up against Assassin. It's really, really difficult because Assassin usually has some frontliners too. You're gonna have to move your Goblin Machine based on where those frontliners are, but this Goblin Machine would stay up front. This Valk would take care of this square right here. Because archer or units that jump to this corner square right here, the assassins, when they walk up to this square, they would target the Valkyrie instead, and then this knight would obviously take care of anything that jumps into this right corner here. The main hope is that this Goblin Machine 3 can stun backline and maybe enough so that your Dark Goblin or Archer can amp up. Usually this princess is really, really worthless in an assassin matchup. Okay, there's one last comp that I want to go over, and again in my last video, if you didn't watch it now, but there is a thrower comp that I think is very, very good. Okay, so there are many variants of this. Your main carry is going to be this Executioner, and it's easy to 3-star because Executioners, as long as there's no ace players, you should be good because it's uncontested, right? Same thing with the Spear Goblin. I won't go back on what I said. The Spear Goblin is one of the worst, I'm sorry, not one of the worst, it's the worst unit in the game. When you get a thrower comp though, and you get this thing 3-starred, it could do damage. Same thing goes with the Bomber. Yeah, these 3 units do a lot of damage, especially if you have thrower and if you have them 3-starred. And as for your front line, it could vary a lot. This giant skeleton could get replaced. If you don't want Brawler, instead it could get replaced with a Skeleton King, and instead of, you know, your Mega Knight, if you want just another ace unit, you could put a P.E.K.K.A on, right? Because the P.E.K.K.A also benefits from the Juggernaut trait, right? So choose your front line very wisely based on the game that you're in. If you need stuns, make sure you have a Goblin Machine. If there's only Skeleton Kings like in the pool, take a Skeleton King. The thrower trait claims that, you know, you gain a range and then you gain 10% damage per hex. When this thing is 3-star, it could attack from the backline and it could hit the opponent's backline. That's about like 6 hexes away, which is plus 60 damage, which is pretty crazy. There are times where you would put this Executioner to the side to target an opposite corner too. Overall, I think this is like easy to hit, but very high skill to play. Managing your throwers positions and managing like who you have in your front line can determine like whether you win a round by 6 units or if you lose a round by 5. But I really would play this because it's completely uncontested in lower elo and mid elo and high elo, and it's super fun to watch too. It's super fun to play. So those are the meta comps as well as positioning. Let me know if you guys want to see more. I will push it out as soon as possible. Tips for high elo, whatever you guys want. And if you didn't watch my last video, it was a tier list on every single unit you should play, or unit and trait that you should play. I would advise watching that, especially if you're a beginner, because I, again, am high elo and I already know what is good and what is bad in this game, and I could help you guys climb. So let me know.